After the kingdom of Israel had split in two, the northern kingdom had a lot of trouble. They had these wicked kings, and there was fighting among them. And after a few generations, one king proved himself to be the worst king yet. His name was Ahab, and he had a wife named Jezebel, who might have been even more wicked. The Bible says that they did worse things than anyone had done before. And one of those horrible, horrible things is they started worshiping Jezebel's god named Baal. And Baal was the god of thunder. He was supposed to be the one who brought rain when he needed rain. So God had to respond. And he sent Elijah, one of the most famous prophets. And Elijah went up before Ahab, and he said, "Until I say so, it will not rain again." Ahab probably didn't even believe him and just kicked him out of the court. And so Elijah went away and hid. And 1 year passed. And Ahab started to believe. And so he sent his armies out searching for him. He sent his people out to capture and kill any prophet of God that they could find. But Elijah stayed hidden. And another year passed, and there was no rain. And Ahab started to get desperate. But still, they couldn't find Elijah. Still, there'd be no rain. And still, the god of thunder, Baal, who Ahab worshipped, could not give them rain. Till a third year came. And in the middle of the third year, Elijah appeared. And he said, "Meet me at Mount Carmel. Bring all the prophets of Baal and all the people of Israel." So that's what they did. They brought 450 prophets of Baal. And Elijah stood up and he said, "Why are you going back and forth between two gods? If Yahweh is God, worship him. If Baal is God, worship him." And Elijah says, "Let's do this test. Have all your prophets make an altar to Baal and make a sacrifice to Baal. And then they can pray, and I will do the same. And the God that sends fire down is the one true God." So Elijah let the prophets of Baal go first. And they started doing their chantings and moving around and doing their shoutings. And nothing. And so they got louder and bigger. "Ah! Baal, listen to us! Baal, send fire down! Baal!" And nothing happened. And Elijah was sitting back watching this. And he goes, "Guys, go louder! Scream louder! He's probably asleep or on vacation. Yeah, if you scream louder, maybe you'll hear him." And Elijah was just laughing and laughing away. And so that's what the prophets of Baal did. They started going bigger and louder. "Baal! Baal! Hear us! Send down fire, Baal!" Oh, 450 of them. And they started cutting themselves, hoping maybe that would attract the attention of Baal. But nothing. From morning until evening, they were doing their things, shouting their things, cutting themselves, and nothing happened. Then Elijah stood up. He went to an old altar for Yahweh that had been broken down. And he got 12 stones and started placing them. And he built an altar. He got the sacrifice ready. And he dug a trench around the altar, which they didn't know what it was for. And then he found 4 big jugs. And he told the people, fill this jug up with water. And so they went and they filled the 4 jugs up with water. And he said, pour it over the altar. And they looked at him and said, but water will make the fire harder to ignite. And Elijah said, yeah, that's the point. So they poured it over the water, and it started spilling over the entire altar, getting all the wood wet and starting getting into the trench. And Elijah said, do it again. So they went and they filled up their 4 big jugs of water, and they poured it over the altar, and it got completely soaked. There was no way any fire could light it this time. And yet Elijah said, one more time. So they went and they got all their water and they poured it on one last time. And the water covered the entire sacrifice. It had soaked through all the wood, and it had filled the trench completely full. And Elijah knelt down and he just prayed, God, prove that you are the one true God. Send fire down. And then all of a sudden, whoosh! Fire came straight down from heaven, and it consumed everything. The entire altar burned up. All the sacrifice burned up. All the water in the trench, it disappeared. It evaporated. Fire came down like no one had seen before. And the people who stood up and they shouted, the Lord, He is God. The Lord, He is God. And there, God proved He was so much better than Baal. He proved He was the one true God. Man, how do we know that our God is the one true God? Click the question mark to share your answer, and then click next to hear more.